Hi, mystery writers. This is Write a Killer Mystery, where we turn good mysteries into great mysteries. My name is Zara Altair. Today I want to talk about the victim. Do you know your mystery victim? Because the victim is the center of your mystery. Basically, without a victim, there's no story. So your victim is more than just a dead body. It's the fulcrum of your entire mystery. And without your victim, your sleuth has no mystery to solve, no clues, no suspects to interview, and no killer. Everything in your novel pivots around the victim. So when you create your character Bible, add the victim to your characters. If your story evolves to more than one victim, make sure the other victims are in your character list. You want to fully develop that character. You want to know both the basic details and the background information. It's what you want to know about your victim. So, first of all, the victim, because they are killed, really is the basis for the context of the story. Much of the context, besides the actual death, is the victim's relationship to the other characters in your story. So you really want to nail those. Physical details are always good for a character, but you can change red hair to brown hair. And one of the things that you can do with physical details is how they impact other characters. So were they attracted by the physical details? Were they repelled? What kind of impact did those physical details have on other characters in your story? And also the emotional makeup of your victim. The same thing. What attracted or what repelled the victim to other characters? Because basically we're going to get down to the killer, the villain, and how your victim impacted that particular suspect. The specifics of how the victim impacted the killer have a lot to do with solving that mystery. So the victim's social and emotional ties impact all of your suspects. That's why you really want to have a good character background for your mystery, because the things they said and did and how they acted impacted all the other characters, and those suspects are going to have feelings and opinions about the victim and why they were dead. So how do you use those details in your mystery? In a traditional mystery, the puzzle pieces the sleuth uncovers are based on the relationship between the victim and the villain. And as you construct your story, you reveal the layers of the victim's life as your sleuth learns more and more about the victim and the victim's world. So the first time your sleuth and your reader encounter the victim is often at the crime scene. The place, the sleuth notices not just the physical details, but the place and anything around the victim. Why was that victim in that particular place? Or did the body get moved? All those things that come up when your sleuth first encounters the victim. So basic details like clothing or lack of clothing, height, weight, sex, and even hair color are details that bring the victim into the reader's world for the first time. So the first time the reader sees your victim, they get those detailed informations. And of course, because you're a mystery writer, it's are those details going to be important to solve the mystery or not? So that's the first time you set your reader wondering, well, what's the significance of these things that you, the writer, have put into your mystery. So what this reader learns through the sleuth's eyes is their introduction to the victim and the puzzle that must be solved, because you're creating a puzzle for your sleuth to solve and your readers to follow along. So you also need background to fill out each suspect's impressions of the victim, and as your sleuth interviews the suspects, he tries to put each piece of information from the various suspects into place to form a picture of the victim. And of course, because each suspect's view of the victim is slanted, he's going to get slanted pieces of information and try to put this together into a whole picture. So how the victim related to other people on and off the job, and how they occupied their time, and where they hung out, and normally versus the one-time visit, was the body discovered in a place that the victim usually went to, or is the body discovered in a place that nobody understands why the victim was there? What was she doing at whatever that place is? So all this information is ample background to filling in a picture of the victim through other people's eyes, and that's basically how your reader gets information throughout the story, is through the other people's eyes, the victims, and of course how your sleuth takes that information and processes the information he gets from the other suspects and from the clues and evidence. So sometimes a suspect's description of a victim corroborates what other suspects say, and sometimes it's at variance. There's a quirk or an angry outburst on somewhere in all of these pieces of information. Clues point toward the victim. So the villain, as one of the suspects through most of your mystery, presents their own set of information. And the more you know about the victim, the easier it is to wrap the lies with the truth as the villain tries to hide their guilt. So you have a lot to play with, and the more you know about your victim, the easier it is to add details. Knowing your victim's background enables you to write about the victim's world, especially if it's unfamiliar to your sleuth. So it doesn't matter what the world is. Could be bicycle racing or military boot camp or seedy underworld. In every case, what you know about the victim and how they lived in that world supplies you with the clues and the secrets and the lies suspects use to define their personal life. So that whole first half of your mystery is really discovering the victim and their world and how they interacted in that world, and how other suspects report that interaction, whether it's true or not. It gives a lot of things for your sleuth to ponder and piece together. So aim for a rich victim background, because the character background work you do on your victim will help you flesh out your novel as you move through the scenes. Suspect alliances will feel realistic because you know how they reacted to that victim's personality. So clues relating to the victim and the villain will be hidden among the details, and you'll end up with deep relationships that ultimately point to the villain. I hope that helps. I think the main takeaway from all of this is treat your victim as another character. Do your whole background work without what their likes and dislikes were, and where they hung out, and what their personality was like. Were they mean to everyone? Were they happy and cheerful and nobody understands why they were killed? get as much background detail for your victim as possible. Okay, I hope that helps. I want to thank you for being here. And in the meantime, write a killer mystery.